Hi, everybody. My name's John Koenig, and I'm a hypnotist. And my plan tonight is going to talk a little bit about my story, how I came about doing this, a bit about my understanding of philosophy of reincarnation, past lives, the logistics for tonight, and an introduction about how to get the most out of this. By the way, who has seen my little introductory video, the 15-minute video that I did? Okay, a few people. So I may go over some of that information. And then we'll do a warm-up exercise, which actually Rob has done before. And then we'll do the actual work. There'll be a break between there, about a 3 or 4 minute break for bathroom break, hypnosis, and past life exploration with full bladders. Don't go well. I'll give you a chance to deal with that if you want. So my story is I'm in Rhode Island, and I was a general practitioner in hypnotism. I had been an ad guy. I was taught college for a while. I became an advertising writer, Duncan Hines Cakes, Crisco Shortening. And then I had an ad agency. I sold it. And in 1990, I became a full-time hypnotist. But I was a general practitioner. I did smoking, weight, stress, sports, anything anybody wanted to do, pre-surgery. And it was a great career. I didn't talk about past life regression because I needed referrals from doctors. And I was afraid people in my community would think I was even weirder than I may be. So I kept that secret. But over the years, a lot of people would, not a lot, probably 20 people would ask me to do a past life, and I would do it with them. They always got great results, always. And I had started exploring it myself. I had a friend whose wife was a past life facilitator, Patty Tohill. I think she's down in North Carolina now. And I went to her uh, basically on just a whim. You know, she was somebody that I knew, her husband, and I was impressed. I went without expectations. And by the way, that's a theme I'll be talking about, to do this work tonight without expectations. Expectations will get you in trouble. So I went without expectations. And I found myself as Private Riley in the first Continental Dragoons in the 18th century. And it was vivid. It's very important not to compare your experience with stories you're going to hear from people or read about, because that kind of thing will get you in trouble. The way to do this work, I think, is to go with an open mind, what they call a beginner's mind. And so I had a beginner's mind. And suddenly I found myself, uh, and I introduced myself. You can either do this work when you're working with one-on-one, as if you're watching yourself, or as if you're channeling the past life. And I tend to do it as if I'm channeling the past life. So I introduced myself. I started to say Corporal Riley, and I felt my mouth sort of go weird. And then I amended it to Private Riley. Private Riley was pretentious. You know, he had I remember I had a silk shirt like the officers, and I thought that made me special. And I had this experience. I'm sent to a ballroom where there's either a social thing or work thing for the military. And I walked in there, and the guy at the door won't let me see my captain. And I am offended. You know, I can't, I'm private, I'm Riley. And I had to stand there. But what I noticed in that is that there was something odd about the room. And there was like a glow. And I realized I'd never in my life, in this life, seen a ballroom lit by candles. It's a very different look from, you know, a modern, well-lit room. And that impressed me. You know, A, that it was such a vivid experience. Private Riley dies, and I experienced his death. And I intend to take us through death tonight. This little, you know, warning about that. And this can get emotional. Um, so uh, about 4 years ago, you know, I'm a lot older in this incarnation. You know, I haven't got too many more turns around the track left. And I stopped caring that much about whether my practice was filled with people. And I began talking about past life work. By the way, along the way, I probably experienced maybe 20 of my own lives through various practitioners, including Carol. I met Carol after I wrote the book, but exploring things, having vivid experiences, and got a tremendous amount out of it. And then I wrote my book, my autobiographies, plural, and which kind of made me public. And I began talking in Rhode Island about what I do, that I don't just do clean smoking, but I do, find out where you burnt at the stake, in Salem. So I guess that's pretty much me. I am not, and I make a clear point, and it's not false modesty. I am not that advanced in this. I'm really not. I've had trainings in past life work. Zelita Grant out in Colorado, David Quigley in California, a few others, but I'm not that advanced. I am as much a student as anybody here. I want to begin, by the way, with a recent thing. Um, Last July, everybody here knows about artificial intelligence, right? And I asked ChatGPT on a whim to give me 64 principles every human has to master for to be our best. And ChatGPT searched through all human wisdom, religion, philosophy, psychology, self-help, and got 64 principles that I turned into an Oracle deck that I just did a Kickstarter on, funded it very quickly. It'll be out in August. And which basically is human wisdom condensed into 64 principles. And every day I pick one randomly with a random number generator to kind of guide my day. I want to read to you what I picked today. Today I picked divine union, connection with source. So if you can indulge me, it starts with a quote. The soul that is one with God becomes a living light. And in this light, it sees and knows God in the depth and breadth of love. Meister Eckhart. And then it begins, and I wrote the narrative, but this may be the most important of the 64 principles universal mind suggests all humans must master, connection with your creator. Recognize that God is all. Individualized consciousness simply creates the illusion of separateness. The Latin word for individualized identity is ego. But what is this ego? Fundamentally, we are points of view. We are consciousness plugged into neurological systems. As a point of view into universal mind, you perceive yourself as separate from it. Why does universal mind play this game with itself? Right now, the question is probably above your pay grade in life. I know it's above my pay grade. Suffice it to say that the game in which we are engaged is to move closer to source and eventual reunion as a co-creator with that which creates this. Your curriculum in spirit school includes first recognizing that you are a spirit, a soul, having a human physical experience, then transcending your humanness to become a conscious agent of our creator. But don't worry, no one does it perfectly. Seek spiritual progress without demanding perfection. Trusting God in this process does not mean you're expected to like all that happens to you. It's just learning to accept that whatever happens occurs precisely as it is meant to within the mind of God. So that's kind of my philosophical perspective about this stuff. Doing this work, and I probably have experienced now about 25 of my own prior incarnations. I will say, as representing myself authentically, I will not assert for certainty that I didn't make all these up. Yeah, I don't know for sure. I really don't. They seemed real, but unless you're 5 years old and you've never seen, read a lot or seen too much, that's why Ian Stevenson looks at kids. He's documented 2,000 or so kids, he and his people at University of Virginia, who actually spontaneously experienced past lives. And he documented them. It's beautiful. He wrote a couple of books, some with pictures showing birthmarks and things. But unless you're uncorrupted, you really can't know. You see Spartacus, and then you go to a past life regressionist, and you think, oh, I was a gladiator. So we really can't know. I'm going to suggest, though, that you shouldn't worry about that tonight, that you should take whatever you get. At any rate, tonight we'll talk, before we even get started, I hope everybody is alone. And that includes no pets. I was doing regular hypnosis like over Zoom, and suddenly the guy's wife came in and said, "Did you take out the garbage?" So you got to make sure that no one's going to bother you, and that includes pets. I was doing this session with a guy, and he had two cats. One of them got on his lap. That was okay. The other got on top of his head and began banging his. So make sure you got no pets, no kids, nobody going to bother you. No cell phone. It's important you got no cell phone. I'm going to give you a chance to go to the bathroom. Full bladders and hypnosis or past life don't go together. I'm going to suggest you get a pen and paper. And after we do the session, it's kind of like a dream. If you want to capture a dream, you want to do it as soon as you get up. You don't want to wait and think, oh, I'll remember that, because you may not. You want to write down salient things after we finish the work. Um, I want to be clear that what you bump into tonight may be disturbing. You know, for one thing, I know I'm planning to walk us through death. So most deaths are not pleasant, right? And you need to be able to experience whatever you experience. And maybe, by the way, nothing. And you got to be prepared for nothing. And you got to set a low bar. Maybe you get nothing. But you might find people cry in these things. You got to be. Now, the other thing is, this is not psychotherapy. And it's really important that each of you be responsible for your own well-being. If you bump into something disturbing, you need to, unfortunately, because we're not in the office, you're going to have to process it yourself. And I'm going to assume as we go forward that you're in agreement with that. I would imagine if somebody doesn't want to do that, Carol might refund their money. But you got to be prepared to take whatever you get and to support other people in getting whatever they get. So we'll have a little time to share, and you want to let other people have their experience. Now, before we go any further, and you can do a show of hands physically, or if you know how to do electronically, who has experienced a past life regression before? Okay, not everybody. Okay. Who's experienced, say, more than three? Oh, okay. Okay. Anybody more than 10? No. Okay, good. So that gives me an idea where we are. Uh, those who've experienced past lives, again, this beginner's mind thing, I'm going to suggest you forget about those. If you start comparing this to those, it's going to, any kind of expectation will get in your way, I think, today. So it's useful to get rid of it. So I do believe that all is God, that is all there is, that the universe is conscious, that everything is conscious, and that God creates this weird thing. We create this thing where we're separate, experience the illusion of separateness, and that we come back into Earth, incarnate, to learn lessons. You can only learn through adversity. As pure spirit, we don't get a chance to learn much. We can share, we can commiserate, you can understand things, but it's through adversity uh, that we learn. I mentioned Zelita Grant. I did one of her trainings, and it was a weekend thing on past life. So for the weekend, I'm immersed in past lives and in the spirit world. And on the way home in the airport, I was struck, and I've never been in my life, with how hard life is. People struggling with their suitcases, and their flights are canceled. Gravity alone creates adversity. And that's why we come here, I think. We come here to learn and to evolve. I believe every life has a fundamental story. We're God's stories. We're stories that we experience, and that every life has at least one central theme. And our lives end usually, I think, with unresolved issues. And that's where the notion of karma comes in. I look at karma, certainly not as punishment, but karma as lessons to be learned, things we have to work on, our next mission. So one of the things about doing past life work a lot and having this perspective is it eliminates victimhood. If you accept that you chose your parents, you chose your circumstances, your race, it's kind of hard to blame anybody because you signed up for it. And I think that's a major benefit in this work. Uh, I do believe there's something I call divine serendipity, and that all of us are here today as part of a plan. Who knows? Maybe we knew each other on the other side of things, possibly. Who knows? But they were all here for a reason. Everything that does happen happens according to divine plan. It's my perspective, at least. And I do believe in the notion of spirit families. I've had some sense of that doing some of the work that I've done, connecting with spirit families. And who knows, maybe some of us are spiritually related. I'm not going to go any further with that. So I think it's important to know that this is a group experience, that if you're working one-on-one with somebody, they would be able to guide you and work with you within whatever you experience. Like when I experienced my thing with Private Riley, the person guided me, toward other events. I plan to do 4 scenes in tonight's work. One is where you first land, another is a significant event, another significant event, and the last would be the end of that incarnation. So, but I can't guide you. And if as we're doing this work, don't worry too much at all. If I'm saying now it's time to move on and you're still there, you know, um, stay where you are, stay true to your experience. The more you just allow things to occur, I think the better result you'll have. Uh, Understand that, well, in fact, I think it was, uh, Smita. Am I pronouncing that correctly? Smita? Anyway, you were doing a past life regression here, a group. And when she did it, I found myself, uh, it was prehistoric times. I wasn't really human. And I met this alien from another reality and got this sense that I was one of 10,000 Homo, whatever we were at the time, erectus, I guess, who was given this gift of increased consciousness as part of human evolution, that our evolution as a species came from this entity. And when that first happened, I was thinking, this can't be right. I'm not here to experience an alien thing, but you have to just be willing to go with whatever you get or don't get to get the most out of this work. Uh, some of the blocks you can experience uh, is not what you expected, like I mentioned, alien. And that's why the people I'm most am not enthusiastic about working with are people who will tell you, I know I was Cleopatra. I want to go back and experience myself as Cleopatra. Because what they're going to do is they're going to corrupt the process. You go back and you experience whatever you experience. And that's one trap to avoid. The other trap is that if it doesn't make sense, like that thing with the alien didn't make sense. I once paid somebody, actually that first one I mentioned, Patty Tohill, $100 back in the day. And I experienced being a bug, a beetle, not John Paul George, or an actual bug. And I'm crawling, and some people will tell you, by the way, that you can't do that you don't cross species. I don't have an opinion. I know I had experience. And what was unusual about it was watching blades of grass looking like trees. And I came upon this thing, it was a dome. And I realized after the fact, I was looking at a drop of water held by tensile strength. So you take whatever you get and not to question it. Another trap is comparing your experience to that of others. I just gave you some of my experiences. So you may be thinking, well, that's what it has to be. No, it doesn't. It has to be whatever you experience. And you want to get out of that trap of comparing yourself to other people here or things that you've read. Big trap. Another is, I mentioned earlier, comparing to experiences you've had in the past. This wasn't as good as when I did it with Brian Weiss. You got to get out of that trap. And you have to be prepared that you'll get nothing at all. If you're getting nothing at all, my sense is that what's happening is your mind has got in the way. You're involved in, oh, this can't be right. I'm getting nothing. Why am I getting nothing? I should be getting something. Everyone else is getting something. Avoid that trap. So those are the traps I've identified. I want you to consider affirming that whatever you experience tonight is what you're meant to, that it's part of your journey, your experience. And, that you may see things visually. Most people don't, but you might see things visually. You might get an emotion about something. You want to pay attention to that as well. You might hear something. Some people auditory might hear something. You might feel something. Uh, and again, nothing at all, except perhaps clarity about some issue. And I would suggest you be alert to dreams for the next night, certainly tonight, and next couple of nights. Perhaps something will come to you in a dream if you're being blocked today for some reason. I'd like us to consider this a sacred experience. And I know this is a very elite group in terms of spiritual journeyers. So if you've got spirit guides or other people, other counselors on the other side, I would ask you to enlist their help. We don't have to do this alone. There's us incarnated, but uh, any other entities are certainly welcome, positive ones. Uh, then there is intention setting. And there are several different ways you can do this. When I first did the private Riley thing, my intention was whatever, the universe had for me to experience. And that's one way to do it. Perfectly fine. To be with no expectations, just whatever my soul, the universe wants me to experience. Or you could access a skill. You could say, I want to get a skill. One of the teachers I had was a fellow called David Quigley in California. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful character. And he had this thing where he is so adept at this. In the world of spirit schools, I'm maybe your first grader, and he's like, sophomore in college. And David wanted to learn better to play the piano. And he went back and he found himself incarnated as an 18th century master harpsichordist. And he says he came back into this incarnation with the ability to play piano, harps, keyboard. And that's one thing you could do, some skill. When he did his when I was in his training, he said that. He said he had us try that. And I wanted the skill of leadership. As a hypnotist, you're a leader in a way. You're providing context and direction. So I wanted to experience leadership. And I found myself in Alexandria, ancient Alexandria, as a woman, Una, I think her name was Uma, and I had three sons. They were builders, the builder boys, and they built not pyramids. They built palaces, public buildings, nice houses. And I was their coach as their mom. I was in the back of the thing, not on the front. The male model of leadership is follow me over the top, boys. This feminine model leadership was nurturing and supportive. And I found that an interesting experience. Um, by the way, one of her sons died. And, I'm a father. Uh, I discovered being a mother is very different. They were part of me. And when one of my sons died, it was like I lost myself. Part of me was in the world. So that was an interesting experience. Um, Another is to address an issue. If you've got something going on in your life today, you could bring that here. And if with all these people, there's probably at least one person's having a rough day. As a hypnotist in private practice, I'm dependent on reviews. And one day I got this horrible Yelp review. I never worked with the person, but I misscheduled her. And she did a scathing Yelp review that I was unprofessional, incompetent, obviously horrible. And it drove me nuts. I mean, nuts. And I made the mistake of asking her to reconsider. And she doubled down, tripled down on it. And I was beside myself. And I recognized it was over the top. It was an over the top reaction to somebody not liking me. And so I called that fellow David quickly, and I did a past life with him. And I found myself as a monk, an academic monk in probably the 15th century. And I'm so happy. I live in a monastery. I have a turret, and I have students, and And all of a sudden, one day, a new student comes, and he is the Archbishop's nephew, trained to be a cleric. And back in the day, nephew meant something else. It meant his illegitimate son. So I've got the Archbishop's nephew in my class, and he's not paying attention, not respecting me. Just like my Yelp review wasn't respecting me. And I went nuts, as Brother Thomas. And I complained to the abbot. And I thought the abbot was my friend. But the abbot told the Archbishop. And the Archbishop brought me into to his palace and berated me. And Brother Thomas was beside himself. And I experienced hanging myself. Before that, I experienced the Archbishop's nephew and his friends coming to watch me in the kitchen where I'm peeling potatoes because I've been demoted. And that night I went out and hung myself. Suicide is never a good thing karmically, by the way, if anybody's considering it. Not a good idea. And so that gave me tremendous relief. Out of that, I was able to just say, I got a bad Yelp review. It's not the end of the world. I got lots and lots of great ones. So if you got something going on in your life today that's bothering you, particularly, perhaps that's your jumping off point with your intention. Another way to go at it is curious, is there something in your life now that you wonder were you with them before? Did you know them before? And I took that on, and I found myself in a training, and suddenly I got this image of this blacksmith in Russia, rural Russia, Tsarist days. It could have been 18th century, 13th. I don't know what it was, but he's big beard and banging the metal, and it's my wife, Maria, and I am so proud to be married to Victor. I think I'm the luckiest girl in the village. Victor doesn't beat me. My mother told me I had to be prepared to get beaten. He likes me. He even smiles. And so the facilitator says, well, what does Victor say when you bring him his dinner? And I start laughing. I said, nothing. He's a man of few words. In this life, I talk all the time. I wake up talking. I talk all the time. I'm a hypnotist. One of the, I think I love a hypnotist is you do all the talking. They just sit there. So my wife, though, will talk when it's important, but not compulsively like I do. And I found that a useful experience. So you got to ask yourself, are you here for whatever comes up? Are you here because you got something going on today that's disturbing to you? Are you here because you want to find out if there's something in your life that you're related to? Or do you even want to bring back a skill? You could be for all those reasons. The thing about Maria is, and Victor, is I hear in the village from the other ladies that the Cossacks were going to come and draft the men. And in my village, when they draft the men, you don't see them again. They're gone. 20 years. Like they did. You become a widow with a husband who's alive. And I tell him, we got to get out of here. And he refused to listen. I'm only a woman. I have no credence, no credence. He refused to listen. And he tells me I should be. He said, I thought you were more sensible than that, Lena. So they take him, of course. And I spend the rest of my life raising children, working like a fiend. I never regretted being married to Victor, though. And I died in that life with my children by my side. So my mission in this life is to be heard. And I became a college teacher. I became an advertising writer. I became finally a hypnotist. And I also had this, my mission is to be heard. It's also to say certain things. And as an ad writer, I was trained through necessity to explain things simply. Carol was talking about eighth grade level. I for years only wrote commercials, 30-second commercials at that level, brochures, catalogs, print ads. So I trained myself to be simple and explain complex things in a simple way. So that's a mission that I brought into this life. Let me see, is there anything else here? So before we get any further, and by the way, I'm planning to end at 8:30, Carol, if that's okay. Is that good for everybody? 8:30? Yeah. But we got a few minutes to share your intentions. If you want to say why you're here, what you're hoping to get out of this, we could take a couple of minutes worth. If anybody would like to just unmute and let us know what you're hoping to get out of tonight, I think that would be useful. Get some flesh in the game, if you will, before we get on this journey. Anybody got an intention?
John, I'll go first.
Yeah, please.
Thank you. Thank you for holding space for this. I always love being in your energy. So my intention for tonight is to allow the group process. Like sometimes I get somnambulistic where I fall asleep when I'm in a group setting. So my intention is to be a little more conscious and um, to be able to be cognitive of what's happening, but allow it to happen, whatever that might be,
Got
and
it.
not control it at all.
Beautiful. Perfect.
So
That's a good intention for everybody to, latch on to be conscious and let whatever happens, happens. Who else has an intention they want to share?
Um,
Rebecca.
yeah, if I can be completely honest, I'm a little scared. I've never done this before, and I'm just a little frightened about. I mean, I don't know. I mean, of course I don't know what's going to come up, but the whole death thing is a little scary to me. So,
Well, let me see. Let me think about that a little bit. One thing you need to know, and this is about hypnosis generally and past life specifically, is you're always in control.
mm,
You're absolutely always in control. If you want to stop doing it, just stop doing it. It's as simple as that. Everyone's heard about the story about the guy who was stuck in hypnosis and was hospitalized. No, because it never happened. It is never going to happen. You're never going to get stuck. And but Rebecca, the thing I said earlier about you need to be responsible for your well-being. So if it starts to get too intense for you, just stop. Simple as that. Just stop.
okay,
And can I add, let that be your intention to overcome your fear?
Oh,
that's a good idea.
yeah. You're going to be okay, Rebecca.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. This life is far more dangerous than you called prior lives. This life is terrifying, if you ask me.
Yes.
Anybody
Thank
else?
you.
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
never really, well, I guess I never had like an intention. I was just coming just to see what happened,
Yeah.
but I would love to come back with a skill. I mean, I think that would be really cool.
Anyone in mind? Any particular skill?
Um, I don't know, maybe a spiritual skill.
A spiritual skill,
Something that,
like
I
like
know I have
meditation or
in me.
something?
Excuse me.
Meditation or something like that?
Um, I, I don't know.
A spiritual skill. So leave it at that.
Anything in that realm where maybe I think that maybe I can do it or I know how to do things, but to kind of bring it in so that I can really hone in on it and bring it as my skill that I know that I'm confident in doing now.
Got it.
So
That's a good intention. I guess we can do one more. Anybody have one more? Yeah,
I
Gene.
I do real quick. I actually I keep flip flopping. I've actually been doing a lot of work on one life, and it took me 2 years to figure out why those emotions from 200 years ago were hitting me. So I don't know. I might wind up back in that one. I'm kind of ready to like leave that one alone. I would really like to learn a skill too. I would love to know why I have so much trouble scrying.
Ah, okay. So,
Yes, I've
yeah,
I've been told by multiple people I should do that. That's a really strong form of divination for me, but I seem to be very blocked with it, and I'd love to find out why.
are you a channeler or a medium?
I can
Always?
I can channel. I would not call myself a medium. I'm an
Okay,
astrologer though. So,
okay. So that's your intention. And
yeah.
the other thing about intentions, is you set the intention. If what you start to get is not your intention, go with it.
I
And
do, and I always say, "Well, if that's for the highest good,
for
that
the
would be
highest
great."
good, highest
Yeah.
good, perfect. Okay, I guess we can really begin now. Let me see. Oh, I want to do. Okay, never mind. Hypnosis, by the way. Has anybody not ever been hypnotized before? And I know Rob's not sure if he was. Yeah, Rebecca, it's really important to know that why we do hypnosis for past life work is it's about bypassing the conscious mind. The definition of hypnosis is bypassing the conscious mind. So little people, kids, are born many with past life memories because they haven't developed that conscious, judgment. And we all get hypnotized by our culture. We're all into hypnosis, our cultural hypnosis. So, to access past lives, you need to bypass the conscious mind. And that's why manipulating the experience, oh, I know I was Cleopatra, will not work because you're going to be stuck in your conscious mind. Now, I am going to suggest a very quick bathroom break if anybody needs to go before we get started. There we go. We got a taker.
Yes, please.
Okay, we got 2 takers. Good.
Okay, I'll pause the recording.
That's a great idea.
What time would you like us back?
Like only as soon as they come back.
5 minutes?
When the three people left, when they come back, we can get started.
Okay.
It's so we got Carol back. Or
Yes,
it's
we do.
randomly
Yes, we do.
started recording. That's why Ian Stevenson's work is so important because he clearly documents this is real. 2,000 or so cases that I'm aware of. With little people, they can't be making it up because they got no reference. So, okay, I'm ready to begin, and I want to start with a warming up exercise. And I talked about not having intentions. Like the first thing that pops in your mind, be there. And this is the thing, it's called cocoology. Does anybody here know what cocoology is? Yeah, okay, good. Is that Carol's hand? Yeah. And this is a way of warming up. And this comes from Japan. And you don't have to even, not hypnosis, just close your eyes for a second. And what I'm going to ask you to do is think of the first thing that pops in your head. When I say, first, imagine you're in a desert. Picture you're in a desert. Could be the Sahara, could be the Southwest. And now imagine a cube, any kind of a cube. So you're in a desert, you've got a cube, any kind of a cube. Notice what it's like, what it looks like, size of it, that kind of thing. When you got a cube, give me a nod so I can know we're on the same page here. Okay, good. Now imagine a ladder, any kind of a ladder. When you got a ladder, give me a nod. And remember, this is the first thing that pops in your head. Okay, everybody got a ladder? Anybody got a ladder? Ladder nods, good. Now imagine, as best you can, a horse. Any kind of a horse. So you're in a desert, you've got a cube, there's a ladder, and now you got a horse. Good. Now the final thing is imagine a storm. Any kind of a storm. When you got a storm, give me a nod. So you're in a desert, you got a cube, there's a horse, there's a ladder, and now this is storm. And now you can open your eyes. The people that develop this technique say each of these things means something. And it's because it comes from the first thing that pops in your mind. For example, anybody want to share their cube? What kind of cubes did you have? Yeah, that's Carol. Looks like. What was your cube? Somebody else.
Sorry, I had a big cube like in hovering above me in the Sahara Desert.
What color was it?
Silver.
Silver. Fascinating. Well, let's get one more before I tell you what that means. Anybody else have a cube that they want to share? Yeah, Carol.
I immediately saw the Gobi Desert, but here's, talking about not questioning what happens. I saw an igloo.
An igloo.
And it had no trouble being in the Gobi Desert. And I didn't censor it. I just went.
That's perfect. Now, let's get one more. Anybody else have a cube they want to share?
Mine was like a big paper lantern.
A big paper lantern.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Wow.
Was it lit?
Yes, it was lit up.
How cool.
Okay, I'm going to talk to First, the big cube hovering. They say that a large cube represents a good, healthy ego, a good, healthy sense of self. They say if the cube is translucent, it means people don't really get to know. You like to keep stuff private. But I would say a silver cube means that, you're out there, you're, some kind of a light in the world. And I would say the lantern is kind of the same kind of thing. You got a light that you're sharing. The igloo, nothing I read about, and I could. What do you think igloo means, Carol? You know about cocoology.
I love Koenig. So this is one of my
Koenig.
absolute favorites, and I've been wanting to do it for a while, but I just haven't taken the time to do it. My sense is that I'm okay with being different.
Yeah. I would say an igloo is that you're definitely different, and yet you weren't manipulating. That just occurred naturally. Beautiful. Now, they say that a transparent cube means what you see is what you get. They say a teeny tiny cube means you got some, perhaps low self-esteem. How about ladders? Well, actually, in the interest of time, a ladder is meant to represent your support system. So a strong, sturdy ladder means you got a good support system in your life. If anybody has a good, strong ladder, I would say that ladders that are like this, that are tense, very stern, very, very secure. They say a ladder that's leaning on your cube means you see other people as being dependent on you. And I see a nod that other people depend on you. Does that make sense, Gene? Not sure. They don't. No. No. They say that if ladders leaning on your cube, it means that you see other people as depending on you. And some people have rickety ladders, which means, according to them, that you have a weak social support system. The horse is meant to represent your ideal romantic partner. And a nice horse is a good thing, a sturdy horse, a friendly horse. A mean horse obviously would be bad. But the storm, they say, is adversity. And if the storm is right on top of you, it means you're in the middle of it. It means you've got stuff going on that's troublesome to you. If the storm is moving away from you, it means you're getting better, you're getting past it. If the storm is static, it means you're okay. Was yours moving away?
No, I would. I had a hobby horse.
A hobby horse. What do you
Yeah.
think that means?
I have no idea.
Well, make up something. What might it mean? Romantic.
I want somebody who's childlike.
There you go.
Yeah.
What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that?
Nothing.
What's wrong with that? By the way, they say that a sandstorm, a dry storm, means you don't cry a lot. A wet storm means you give yourself permission to cry. But the reason I did that was the idea of the first thing that pops into your mind. Not necessarily, what it meant, but it's strange how the first one pops into your mind. So I am ready to begin now. We've all been to the bathroom. So anybody have a final question before we go? And Rebecca, you're going to be okay.
And everybody else, please put your mics on mute, and I'm going to put mine on mute.
Well,
And
that's a good idea.
yeah,
I'll keep mine open.
Yeah, you keep yours open.
Now, there are different ways to do hypnosis, definitely. And this technique, I'd like you to look in front of you over your phone or your computer at the wall opposite you. And I think this is the one that Rob and I did. And as you're looking at that, I'd like you in your mind's eye to superimpose over that the ocean. Superimpose over that blue-green of the sea and the white of the surf, beautiful, pristine white sand. And what I'm going to do is count from 20 to 0. With each number, the intention is to close your eyes completely for roughly 3 to 5 seconds, then slowly open them. And somewhere before I reach 0, might be at 5, might be at 10, might be at 15, they're going to stay closed. Simple as that. So looking at your wall, imagining the ocean, and now 20. You close your eyes all the way down for a couple of seconds. And every time you close and open your eyes, or open and close your eyes, you'll notice they become a little heavier. 19. They may begin to tear a little bit, actually. 18. And you begin to realize you can see this ocean more clearly when your eyes are closed. In the theory of the mind, 17. The blue-green of the sea and the white of the surf and the swell of the waves as the water comes into shore, 16. And at some point, your eyes are going to want to stay closed. They may actually not be able to be opened, 15. But you can still see in your mind's eye the blue-green of the sea and the white of the surf and the swell of the waves, 14. The eternal sea, always there, always changing, up and down, 13. And when your eyes want to stay closed, let them stay closed, 12. You got to close them all the way down for 3 seconds. You got to close them all the way down, 1, 2, 3. And then if you can, slowly open them, 11. But then imagine you notice something strange down by the water. Imagine you notice a door. Seems to go nowhere, 10. But you know, on the other side of that door, there's a feeling waiting for you today. A feeling of peace. Okay. Now, if that were the case, naturally you'd walk to that door. 8. Close your eyes all the way down for a few seconds. All the way down. If that were the case, you'd want to walk to that door. And you know what it's like to walk on hot sand in the summer, 7. And you get to the place where the water has moistened the sand, cooled it, 6. And at that point, you look down on your hand, and you're holding a key, a big gold key, 14 inches. 5, 4, 3. And this key is engraved with a question. What if it turns out what I'm going to experience is exactly what I need to experience tonight for my development, for my growth? And it's also got statements. The statement is your intention. Whether you're here to just see whatever the universe wants you to know, whether you want to bring back a skill, whether you want to see if somebody is in your life that was in your life before, it's engraved on that key. 2, and 1. You put the key in the door, and you turn the key, and you push the door in, 1, and you walk into a soft lit room. Allowing yourself to drift and to dream is only one instruction in hypnosis. As I talk, thoughts will cross your mind, all kinds of thoughts, but they're not important. The change, the experience comes through beyond the level of thought, at the level of experience. And as you find yourself in this room, this soft lit room, imagine that there are 3 doors, 3 white doors in front of you. There they are. And consider that these doors are passageways to 3 of your prior lives that want you to experience them. So here you are standing in this chamber with these 3 doors, your lives. But the one in the middle starts to glow. And you realize that that's the one, whether it's choosing you or you're choosing it, that wants you to go through. And imagine with me that you walk through the door, not opening it, like Alice in Wonderland going through the mirror. We walk through that door to the other side on the count of 3. 1, 2, and 3. And here you find yourself in another part of your mind. This is so private. It's just you in your own mind. And you look down and there's a staircase, 10 steps, going down to your inner mind, going down into your past, below the level of consciousness, below the level of this incarnation. And you start to walk down the step, going from 10 to 9, still holding that key, a beautiful golden key with your intention, down 9 to 8. And now imagine the key becomes a piece of golden velvet. And the velvet begins to break up begins to swarm around you, begins to cover you, encase you in a beautiful, beautiful golden encasement, a warm golden light that surrounds you. And that this light is the essence of pure love, protection, healing. Picture it enveloping your entire being, creating a safe and sacred space for our journey. And call upon all of us, even though you're alone in your own mind, the protection and guidance of our higher selves, your spirit guides, any benevolent beings of light that support us on our spiritual growth. Invite them to join you as you step down 8 to 7 to 6. And as you prepare to explore your past life, surrounded by your intentions, glowing golden protection, know that the result will be clarity, healing, understanding, literally whatever you experience. And ask that any memories or experiences that surface do so with the intention of helping you grow and heal. And affirm that whatever occurs, you will use to grow and heal and move to being the best version of you. And ask that this journey be filled with compassion as you step down 6 to 5, and gentleness, and that all the emotions or insights that arise are handled with the utmost care and respect by you and anyone you share them with, and that you be open to the lessons of the past, down 6 to 5 to 4, while remaining grounded in the present, knowing that you are safe and supported always with divine guidance, divine support in the moment. Down 3, and feel guided into a universe where there are no coincidences, and everything is exactly as it's meant to be. Down below now, you see there's a stream, a river. And moored to the river, a little dock, there's a boat, sailboat. And there is a person that runs the boat, pilot. And the pilot is standing there, a benevolent spirit, down 2 to 1. And you walk to the bank. And the river is the stream of consciousness, but also of time. And the ship is your pathway down. The person who's standing there, the ferryman, if you will, looks at you, and you realize that they want something. And you look in your hand, and you have a golden coin that's popped in. Your golden coin, which now is also your intention, your heart, your hope, your love. And imagine you give the coin to that entity. You get on the boat, and you begin to move downstream as you drift and dream, just picturing, imagining, feeling the rocking of the boat. On the other side is your past, all of your pasts. But this ferryman is going to know exactly where to bring you, that you need to go, represented by that middle door you chose. So you're floating downstream. I'm going to allow you to kind of guide yourself, but at some point, the ferryman is going to decide that you need to go to the other side. And the ferryman is going to bring you to a dock on the other side to find what you need to experience today. So just imagine on the count of 3, you feel a bump and the boat docks into your past, who you were before you were who you are, that you need to experience today, whatever it is, without expectation. And imagine you walk off onto the dock and you walk into a cloud. Now I'm picturing kind of a blue haze, but whatever you get, you walk into this cloud. Maybe it is a blue haze or a green haze, a mist of time. And gradually over time, this mist is going to clear. And as it does, I'd like you to look down at your feet. Everybody who does this work, we always start with your feet. Imagine looking down at your feet and notice what the first thing you see down there. Notice whether you're wearing shoes or not. If you're not wearing shoes, notice the color of your feet. Notice the kind of shoes you are, if you have shoes. And then begin to imagine whatever comes into your mind without judgment. First thing, how you're dressed. Notice what kind of clothes you're wearing. Get a sense of the era and get a sense of your gender. What kind of a body are you in? Get a sense of your age. Again, if you think you're making it up, that's fine. Make it up. And see how you're dressed. Begin to notice whether you're indoors or out. Begin to notice whether you're alone or you're with somebody. And begin to notice how you feel, your emotions. Are you happy? Are you anxious? Curious? And now begin to get the idea. You've gotten your gender. Whatever it is, let that be it. Get a sense of the first letter, the first sound of your name. Get a sense of your name. And now begin to notice what occurs. Remembering to accept the first thing, your emotion. How do you feel here? You may hear something. You may actually smell something. Notice where you are, what you see, what you feel, and what's occurring. Now, from this point on, I'm going to guide in a kind of structured way. But you are the boss of you here. So whatever your soul needs you to experience in whatever order, just let that unfold for you. Here you are in this different body. Notice the era. Notice the geography, where you are. Could be anywhere. And allow this to begin to unfold. Allow whatever occurs to occur. Again, noticing your feelings, noticing your emotion. Begin to drift and dream. This is your experience. Believe it or not, I am of no importance here. This is you in your own mind, your own soul, your own spirit, your own past, experiencing whatever is there for you to see, whatever is there for you to feel. And as I mentioned, you go at your own pace. But I'm going to suggest on the count of 3, another one of those doors appears. And it's a door to a significant event in this life. On the count of 3, a door appears. You leave that scene. You go into first a chamber, a neutral place. 1, 2, and 3. Move into this sort of reception area for a second. Take a deep breath. And gradually that blue or green haze begins to reappear for a second. And then it evaporates. And allow yourself to experience this life in another time, an important time, a transitional time. Notice what's there. Notice again whether you're alone or with somebody. Notice how you're dressed. Most important, how you feel as you drift along and dream. Allow it to occur. Want it to happen. Allow it to happen. It happens. See what occurs. Why is this important? Who are you with? What's happening? How do you feel? What's your emotion? What thoughts do you have? What's occurring? As you drift along and dream, all the time in the world, Now, if you're one of these people who is having a little bit of anxiety, notice that. Just notice I'm a little anxiety. And let it go and just be here. And if you think you're making it up, that's okay. We'll see later. So allow this event to occur. Whatever it was that made this an important event, as you drift along and dream, actually deeper with every single breath. We talked about staying conscious and alert. It is possible that somebody here has fallen asleep, and that's okay too. You're getting what you need to get. We've affirmed that. As you drift along and as you dream, experiencing this life, drift and dream. Give me a couple of more seconds here. Let it unfold. That, whatever that is, whatever that was that just happened, that. Let that be there. Just that. Doesn't have to make sense. Now imagine again, on the count of 3, another door appears. One of these magical doors. And again, you're the boss. If you need to stay here longer in this event, that's okay. But if it's appropriate, on the count of 3, imagine you walk through this door into that neutral place. Take a deep breath. 1 and 2 and 3. Deep breath. Surrounded again by this magical mist. You breathe it in, you absorb it through your skin. Whatever is here for you to experience, allow it to fill you. And as the magical mist begins to evaporate, let yourself be in another significant event. Notice your age. How old are you here? Notice your physical condition. Above all, notice your emotions. Notice whether you're alone now or with somebody. Feel it, be it. If you think you're making it up, make it up. Drift and dream. Notice why this event is also significant to this life. Every life has themes, issues, events. Notice what's here for you to know. It's here for you to see. It's possible at this point you'll begin even to get a sense of how this relates to your current life. But you don't have to. Just be here with it. Let it unfold. Even if it seems improbable. Drifting and dreaming. Here you are in this life. Another significant event. Now, again, I want to say that you are the guide here. Your soul is the guide. So wherever your soul's taking you now, be okay with that. You don't have to do this perfectly by the book. Let it unfold. Let it be here. This other significant event. A definitive event in this life. As you drift along and dream. Notice your emotion, most importantly. Notice how you feel. And now imagine again on the count of 3 that magical portal appears. And if you're ready to go on to the end of this life, on the count of 3, gently move to the end of this life. Noticing what you've experienced so far. Noticing who you are. If you get a name, that's great. If you don't, that's okay. Your gender, your race, your era, your geography, your circumstance, your challenges. But this life is drawing to an end. Some lives end abruptly, in a moment. Some end gradually. Some end surrounded by loved ones. Some end in violence. So you may have no idea what you're going to see next. None whatsoever. That's how it is. The day you die is like any other day, just a little shorter. 1 and 2 and 3. Through the door. But this time not into the chamber, not into the reception area, but to your death scene. Every life ends, sometimes abruptly, sometimes surrounded by loved ones, sometimes in stress. But it ends. And as it occurs, notice how it ends. Does it simply stop? Is there a wound? Does your body just get tired? But stay in this scene. This scene is so important. This is the time when we review our lives. What was it all about? This life, this incarnation. If you're already at the point, you can imagine your spirit leaving your body. You can imagine looking down. There it is down there, lifeless. See if it's alone, or are there others around it? See its condition. And begin to open yourself to what this life was about, what this life's central mission was, what this life's learning was, now that it's over. Notice what's yet unresolved. Now imagine your spirit. Now, some spirits hang around for a while. You might be one of those. Some move directly on up to the light. So whatever you're experiencing, be with. You might be reluctant to leave that scene. That's okay. Just stay there. But gradually, you will take your leave. And as you take your leave of this life, again, noticing what it was about, what its central theme was, what yet was unresolved in it, what questions are being brought into your next incarnation. And notice as you move up, if you're met by anybody. Are you met by loved ones, spiritual entities? If you're bringing a skill back from that life, what did that life have to offer you in this life? If you're bringing an answer to what's going on in your current incarnation, what answer is it? Might just be formed as a question. And imagine yourself moving toward the light as you drift and as you dream. And if you work with the recording we're making today, you may experience something entirely different. allow that to be okay as well. As you begin to move into the cosmos, in a universe that is love, where everything is precisely as it's meant to be, where every life is like an instrument in a symphony that plays a note or two, and together makes this incredible symphony. Now, in a moment, on the count of 5, I'll ask you to return to full awareness, back to a 21st century life, to your current gender, your current age, your current race, your current circumstances. So that everything seems the same, but yet you're different. You bring back from the past this, what you needed to experience today for your growth, your development. And be aware that tonight, as you dream, this life may whisper to you, may have something more to tell you. So back on the count of 5, 1 and 2, celebrating each of our lives, each of your lives, each one beautiful, unique, special, 1 and 2. So you can say that you're glad to be you precisely as you are. 3, with the idea of who you're meant to be. A spirit evolving, growing. 1, 2, 3, 4, and glad to be alive. Number 5. And no hurry at all. But when you're ready, you can open your eyes. And if you want, write down before you lose it, whatever thoughts come to your mind. It's important, I think, to just sit with it for a bit before we start talking. I went a little longer than I intended, but and you don't have to share anything. This can be totally private. But if you want to share with us, you can just unmute yourself. You do all look pretty relaxed. And we've got some time, so we can just stay here.
I can go if
Yeah,
anybody, if that's all right.
totally. Yeah, of course.
I was like an indigenous island, like just somewhere with blue water, and um, the houses were like the grass that I guess like seagrass or whatever. And it's built and the houses were built on stilts. And it was probably, I'm thinking like 1700s or something. But it was like, I was, when we first got there, it was like I knew that I had some stuff I needed to do. So I was eager to get it done.
Hmm.
And I was in my house or wherever I was, and all of a sudden I physically felt this like this pressure on the right side of my head, and then this French soldier with the ornate hat and everything, he came and he hit me on the side of the head. And that was like the first event. Then the second scene was I was making love for the first time with some really strong jawed man that I loved. And then my death scene, I was having a hard time getting, but the only thing I could think was shark. So I think
Hmm.
I'd gotten eaten by a shark.
Not a fun way to go.
But I was young. I was young, I was like late teen, early 20s. So
What's your takeaway from that life, do you think?
just to be part of a team. I'm very big about like helping the team, doing what needs to be done. So I mean that kind of is who I am naturally anyway. So I guess and I experienced some tragic things, but also some beautiful things. So
Any sense of family when you were doing that life? No.
the only other person that was there was the French soldier, and the person that I was making love to. So,
Nice.
but I knew that there were people around. I just didn't see them because it was like a village.
Are you comfortable swimming in the water?
I do not like, ever since I was a little kid, I was not comfortable. I don't even like lakes. If it's a pool, that's
Hmm.
fine, but I'm mesmerized by like looking at like the blue ocean water and stuff. I love
Hmm.
it. It looks beautiful, but I
You
just
still want to be in it.
want to.
Beautiful. Thank you. This is such fun. Who wants to go next? Yes, Janine.
Okay. I'm not real sure what this all meant, but I was, oh, Germany, Scotland, forest and mountains. I don't know where, it could have been anywhere. I had like almost really crude shoes. So just basically, it could have been any time period, honestly. Wattle and daub, little house built into a hill, just, kind of peasants. But the point of it was I was maybe 19 and I was a really large girl with really bright red hair. And I was out looking for my little brother because I had to bring him home because there was either a Samhain or a Yule or some kind of bonfire going on that night. And I had to fetch him. And I was really irate because I didn't want to go because it was just going to be another festival where nobody was going to pick me.
Oh, oh,
Like, so, but then fast forward a few years and I'm married and I'm expecting my second kid. And I guess I had met somebody there. Um, there's a lot of emotion in this. Then it was just very fulfilled, very happy. This is what I was supposed to do back in that time. You got married, you had children. Um, the husband, I never got a good sense of him because he didn't play a real big part, but it's kind of funny because I'm pretty sure he was the same person I am dealing with now from a different past life. This soul just
oh.
keeps coming up, popping up and popping up all over the place. But then he left and I don't know why. It wasn't because he wanted to. It was never clear why he left, but then it fast forward like 10 years later, I've got like older kids, younger teens. I'm taking care of them. I'm taking care of my father. And the feeling then was more kind of resigned. Like I'd rather not be doing all this by myself. But at that point, I know that I can,
Mm.
so it wasn't a bitter life. So it was really a fairly normal life. Like I said, I didn't get the sense he died really young, but it was a fairly normal life. Went on, somebody that's a lot like me now, just okay, this is happening and this is what I have to do and I'm going to take care of it. And then in that life, I died probably maybe the age I am now, early 50s. I know I had gray in my hair, just a heart attack, I think. It wasn't a lot of fanfare. It was just maybe a heart attack. And then after I died, my spirit was leaving and my husband in that life came and joined me.
Ah,
Like he had been waiting. So something had happened to him, but I never knew what. So yeah, it wasn't anything like crazy. It was
wh-
honestly mirrored my own life just a little bit in this one.
what was your intention going into this?
Honestly, the intention was to maybe find a skill. So, or whatever for my highest good, and didn't find a skill because none of that going on. Um, I will say that I've been doing a little bit of shamanic journeying, and every time I go back to meet my maternal line, they're very a lot of masculine energy, that not a lot of men around, and they're just were always taking care of things themselves and really heavy on the masculine energy. And I really got that feeling from this lifetime. It was like this needed to be done, so this woman stepped up and did it and had to have all this masculine energy. And I think it might be just something else along that line. Like, I don't know if this was my maternal line, but I've been having a lot of lessons coming up with trying to work in feminine energy and figuring out why I have a hard time with that.
So is that relate to your current life? You're a person who gets things done? Takes
Yeah.
care of people?
Yeah, I have a lot of masculine energy, and I've actually had my guides tell me I really need to start working with more feminine energy and trying to figure out why that's really hard for me.
Hmm,
So,
got it. Beautiful.
thank you so much for leading that. That was beautiful. I really enjoyed it.
It was fun. Now, Carol, I'm going to turn this over to you because this is your show here.
Just wanted to find out if there was anyone else who wanted to share. Anyone here? Um, how about online? Anyone else want to share? One more before we wrap up. And
I'll give us one more.
is Ellen okay?
Sure. Um, I think it was, I want to say the 1800s. I remember the first thing I saw when I looked at my feet were pointy shoes, gold pointy shoes, and my dress was long. I was outside. I was walking to someone's house and there was like a party going on and people welcomed me. I must have been a relative and they enjoyed, they were happy that I was there.
Mm.
And then as my life progressed and got older, I saw that I was hunched over and walking with a cane. And people were surrounding me. I saw my granddaughter, who I had the most trouble leaving, um, and but there was nothing but love and acceptance, and I think the message for me now is that I have everything I need. Um, I have all the love I need. Um, So, and this woman in this life just seemed very quiet, very introverted, and she was just content. So,
Did you? That sounds like a beautiful life,
mm,
peaceful.
mm-hmm.
Mm. And so you bring a validation of your current life, maybe
Yeah,
about love, that you got everything you need.
yeah, exactly. Exactly.
That can't be bad, huh? Good. Well, thank you all for doing this with me. It was an honor.
I just wanted to ask a question of the group. Since you did take us to a point of death, did anyone have an experience that was a little scary or disconcerting?
Rebecca.
No, actually, mine was very peaceful. The interesting thing for me is I was in different scenes, but I was alone the entire time. And I found it strange that I was alone. I was in a theater alone, and I couldn't understand why there was no one there. Um, and so I'm thinking maybe I'm feeling alone in this lifetime. It's funny because I'm very social and I'm surrounded, and I'm a social worker, and I'm surrounded by people constantly. um, but maybe internally I feel alone because that was kind of a recurring theme through my whole thing. And I died alone, but it wasn't harsh. It was actually very peaceful. Um, but yeah, it was good. I
I
don't
don't.
think I'll be scared next time.
I wonder why you were alone, Rebecca. Do you
I
have any
don't
idea why you were alone in that life?
I don't know. I think um, maybe something that's on my mind a lot is that I haven't found like a partner in life. Um, and I think that that does kind of bother me sometimes. And I try to be, oh, I'm independent and I don't need anyone, that kind of thing. But I think there are times where it gets kind of lonely. So,
Pay attention to your dreams tonight, because it sounds like there's something not quite perked up there.
mhm.
Percolating, but not perked.
Right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, Carol, you got the show.
Okay, and I just want to add a couple of things. And I wasn't sure if you covered this, so if I repeat myself, I guess it bears repeating. Sometimes these journeys are metaphors. Yeah. Because that is the way our psyche can handle the information. So if it is just like the cocology is somewhat of a metaphor, all of those things represent something else. So you can actually ask your higher self, show me if it is a metaphor, if it is actually a past life energy. If it is a metaphor, what do all of these things represent? We do that in dream work analysis too. So I just wanted to bring up the metaphor analogy. Brian Weiss talks about that too. And then the other thing is, it feels like we have just scratched the surface, or as you were saying, things are perking up. And so maybe tonight, before you even go to sleep, take a few moments to review in your mind what you experience, and then set a new intention about getting greater clarity about what you did experience. I've done this all the time, and I forget to tell other people, oh, this will give you those other pieces of the puzzle. You've got to ask. So that's my 2 cents worth to add to it. It was absolutely wonderful.
Yes.
I don't think I've ever experienced one in such a short time with so much detail. And I was having one experience after another, and I'll have to get with you, Wendy, later on, because I got more news about Lily. She's always asking me what's going on with Lily. So I got more information about her. And but that was awesome. So can we everybody unmute now and give John a round of applause?
Thank you.
Give you guys a round of applause, sir.
Thank you so much. That was awesome. And you know, some of this might be just previews of things to come, but and I really feel like it's very special, our group energy that we have here that helps amp it up even more. So you were our jumper cable into the other world.
Well, I have to acknowledge, Carol, what you're doing by bringing all of us together is amazing and unprecedented in my experience. You know, the Reincarnation Symposium, the book, and this. You're a gift.
Oh, wait till you see what is going to be happening at the symposium. I don't want to give too much away yet, but it's just talk about percolating. Things are really coming up for it. And what I'm sensing is that in some ways there's new information that's foundational, but in other ways, it's a very advanced group that's coming to this. I'm a visionary, so I already get to go into the future and see what's going to be happening there. And I'm blown away. So can't wait. Only less than 5 months now. So watch our website and the Facebook page. We'll be posting out soon about the early bird special and more details about what's happening. And you said, John, your Oracle deck is coming out when?
It's coming out in August.
August?
I'll put my email in the chat if anybody wants to contact me.
Great. And I've played with I got to be one of the beta experiencers for the deck. Universal Mind, it's called, right?
Okay.
And it is absolutely wonderful. I love how he incorporated the random generator and combined the use of AI, but with his own channeling of information. It's quite a project. You've come a long way since I've met you also.
I've stopped hiding.
Yeah.
I'll work with you to quit smoking, guy.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much again. Thank you, everybody, for joining us.